It seems like Ricciardo's saga doesn't want to end just like that, and throughout the past month, we've had some interesting moments and rumors regarding where he'll end up in the 2023 season. Unfortunately for him, and for us, it seems like he has to take up the reserve driver role in 2023 and possibly conquer for a seat in 2024. But is this something that Ricciardo would accept to do? And if so, which teams are ready to offer him this position? All of this and many more will be answered in today's video, so don't go anywhere. Ricciardo has signed with McLaren in 2021, and although he had a deal until the end of 2023, the team decided to offer him buyout terms in order to bring Piastri, a younger and a more prospective Aussie than Ricciardo, as his replacement. This couldn't have been an easy thing to accept for Daniel, given the fact that most of the seats in 2023 are taken and he doesn't have much choice left. Initially, when the silly season started, Ricciardo was related to Alpine, and to be honest, at that time, it made the most sense for both sides to rejoin forces again, as Ricciardo finished P5 with Alpine, at that time known as Renault, in 2020 and scored a couple of podiums after many years for the French-based team. However, it seems like Alpine wasn't willing to commit to the Honey Badger, and now he is seeking another place in another team. And yet again, he was perceived as a wanted asset from both the media and the fans, and we thought that at least the Haas and Williams seats are guaranteed for him. But with Haas giving Giovinazzi a couple of free practice sessions and Williams choosing between De Vries and Sargent, with the latter one being the more likely solution, Ricciardo's choices have narrowed down to the reserve driver spot. When speaking about his future, there is one positive that we can extract out of all this, and that is that Ricciardo's plans are related to the F1 world and nothing else. He said, "I wouldn't give up on F1. If it means I'm not on the grid next year, I'll certainly try to find a way to be on there in 2024. It's honestly the only racing I'm really interested in at the moment. My mindset is still, I'm an F1 driver, I am proud of what I've done, but I still feel there's a bit more to show, to give. I won't race another category next year," said Ricciardo. "The truth is, I'm keeping every option open, not only for next year but for the future. I still don't know what next year looks like. As Lewis said earlier, I do want to be on the grid, I do want to race. Although it's certainly been a challenging time in my career, it hasn't taken the love of the sport away from me and that desire to still be here and still compete," finished Ricciardo. On top of that, Ricciardo spoke about his future in a team that has long-term plans for winning. Such is the case with Williams. When asked about whether he could drive in a team that he'll likely be a back marker in, Ricciardo said, "I still definitely have the ability to love a project. But of course, if there's this longer project and this one where you're going to win tomorrow, of course I'm going to go for the quick wins. They are things I will definitely give some thought to. I don't want to be stubborn or short-sighted and be like, no, I'm not interested in that. I will give everything its respected thought. From 2017, every 2 years I've been with a different team. I don't want to just sign something and think, wait, now something else is there for 2024. So it's probably not as simple as just getting somewhere on the grid next year. It can probably go in many different directions, so I don't think it needs an immediate decision. It's going to be about what's best for me." So what does the future hold for Ricciardo? It's one thing that he is saying these things, and what he said regarding the reserve driver spots, which we'll explain later in this video, but what are his real opportunities? As of now, Mercedes are the biggest suitor for his signature when it comes to the reserve driver role, but apart from them, Red Bull can sign him too. The question is, which team will Ricciardo be a better fit at? The answer is quite simple, and that is Mercedes. Not that he has a guaranteed seat in Mercedes, it's far away from that, especially after what Hamilton said regarding his future, but at least he has a shot for 2024 if the Briton is to not continue his contract. In Red Bull, they are likely to invest in De Vries or in any other driver that is replacing Gasly, such as Herta, which is the less likely option compared to De Vries. Ricciardo's place in Red Bull would be solely based on hope and nothing else, as there are already much better suitors for Perez's seat if the Mexican was not to continue his deal beyond 2024. Plus, the way that Ricciardo left things with Red Bull back in 2018 is something that's not quite sitting well with him, so they might think twice before they give him this seat. Speaking about the reserve driver role, Ricciardo added, "I've certainly accepted if I'm not to be on the grid next year, I'm okay with that. I've accepted I'm not going to do everything, or my management team's not going to do everything just to put me on the grid if it's not right or it doesn't make sense. Obviously, this year's been challenging, and if I am on the grid, I want to know it's at a place I can enjoy and feel like I can thrive, an environment I feel I can thrive in. I don't want to just jump into a car for the sake of it. On top of that, Ricciardo spoke about the Monza GP, the track that he won last year but wasn't able to finish this year as he retired in the finishing laps of the track. He was in a good position too, and both McLarens would have finished in the points, while both Alpine cars were outside of the points table, meaning that McLaren would have shortened the lead to Alpine. Days like this certainly are pretty frustrating, but give it 24-48 hours and I'll get over it and try to understand what's best for next year. Not in an overconfident or cocky way, but if it's not meant to be, then I'm totally okay with that. I won't be too proud. We haven't certainly given up on getting a seat, but that's kind of where my head's at the moment, finished Ricciardo. Both Mercedes drivers were asked about Ricciardo and his future in the Brackley-based team, and what Hamilton had to say regarding his plans in Mercedes has surely made Ricciardo think about whether he has a future with his team or not. I think he's far too talented and he's earned the right to be amongst us all racing. If he's part of our team, that'd be great, but a third role is not really what's best for him. If I was managing him, he'd be racing, said Hamilton, who also added that he has never felt better in his 37th year of life and that he plans to extend the deal with Mercedes in the upcoming period. For me, I feel healthier than I've ever felt. I'm feeling fit. I love what I'm doing and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. My goal is to always be with Mercedes. I signed with them in 1997. I love that we have the long partnership we have. I feel like we're embarking on a lot of really positive things, not only in the sport but outside, and I think there's a lot to accomplish together. I want to be a part of that. Finished Hamilton. On the other hand, Russell also spoke about the Aussie, saying, "I've not heard any reports or heard anything, but I think Daniel's track record speaks for itself really. He's a driver deserving of a seat on the Formula 1 grid, and it would be a real shame for him not to be there next season. But obviously from our side, having a driver of his caliber joining the team in any capacity would be a real boost. He's a driver I get along with. I just hope he stays on the grid and in the sport," finished Russell. With that being said, it's very interesting to see whether Ricciardo will accept the Mercedes reserve driver role and conquer a seat that is very unlikely to be vacant in 2024. What do you think will happen with the Honey Badger? Do you think that we're seeing the last races of him in F1? Let us know in the comments below.